The Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View with your host, Jesse Tenor.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jesse Tenor. Big changes are coming to Arkansas, from teacher raises to government transformation to a potential multi-million-dollar highway plan. Those were some of Governor Asa Hutchinson's top priorities of 2019. And now that they've been passed, what's next? The governor joins me in studio to discuss that and much more. But we begin with a look ahead to 2020. Nearly 24 Democrats have jumped into the presidential race, and this week one tossed his hat into the race for Senate in Arkansas. Joining me from Fayetteville is 2020 U.S. Senate candidate Josh Mahoney. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Jessica, thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. So the last time that we talked officially on Capitol View in this setting, you were running for Arkansas's 3rd Congressional District back in 2018, becoming the first Democrat to run in that district in 8 years. You were defeated by the incumbent Republican, Steve Womack. What made you want to jump into a campaign again and go one step further to the U.S. Senate?
Well, you know, there are a lot of reasons, but the number one reason is that I'm really frustrated with the attacks on health care in Arkansas, and I'm frustrated on the attacks of hardworking families that are having to work 2 jobs just to get by. And I felt like Tom Cotton, once he got elected, went to Washington, D.C. and hasn't been back. He hasn't done anything to fight for us. He's been fighting for his corporate donors and for his own interests. And so that really just fired me up and made me want to get into this race to stand up for Arkansans, to make sure that they have that access to health care, to make sure that they have access to jobs that are going to pay them wages for the hard work that they put in and allow them to have the prosperity that they deserve, you know, for the life that they want to build, the life that they want to live, and the life for their children that they want to build where they live in the state of Arkansas.
In the last 2 Senate races in Arkansas, the Democratic candidates haven't been able to clear 40% of the vote. What kind of coalition do you have to build to improve on that? Do you target certain areas of the state, certain demographics, like some of the ones you were kind of touching on?
Well, a little bit, but, you know, more than anything, I think Arkansans don't want somebody's putting something over on them. And it's very clear that, you know, Tom Cotton is using us for his own ambitions, and he's working to represent his corporate interests and the people that pay for his campaigns and those donors, not for the people of Arkansas. So we're not looking at one demographic. We're looking to put all the people of Arkansas first, and we're going to visit every county in the state. We're going to make sure we talk to everybody and let them know that we've got their backs to make sure that they can build the lives that they want.
And then you've been calling Tom Cotton out for his votes to repeal Obamacare since day one. And in fact, this week, he bragged about helping repeal the individual mandate. We just went through an election that saw Republicans win in all 4 congressional districts, like we mentioned, after numerous votes to repeal the ACA. What do you have to do differently to get that message to resonate on a statewide level?
Well, you know, I think it does come back to a grassroots effort. You know, we had a wonderful group of candidates that ran in 2018, but, you know, it was the first time that we fielded a lot of Democrats in a while. And part of getting the message out there means, you know, some of us had to run early to start building that network out there. And I truly believe that as a state, we're in a much better place to win as a Democrat than we were in 2018. I think Chinton Desai, Clark Tucker, everyone that ran in the 2nd District, Hayden Shamel, and everybody that participated in these campaigns that ran local grassroots races for State House did a fantastic job setting up a platform for us to continue to build a base in Arkansas that understands that we're fighting for good jobs for everybody, that we're fighting for access to health care, we're fighting to get rid of corruption in the state and in D.C., and we're going to keep doing those things.
And then, Josh, shortly after you announced your candidacy this week, Senator Cotton slammed you, saying you support open borders and sanctuary cities. You obviously don't agree with the Trump administration's approach to the border. Regardless of who wins the presidential race next year, what would you like to see Congress do in regards to immigration policy?
Well, first off, every country has they have every right to protect their borders. But I would like to see us to have pathways to citizenship for DACA recipients, and we need to make sure that we're standing up for the people that came here to help build our prosperity. There's a lot of people in Northwest Arkansas that helped, you know, with their hands and feet, build the businesses that have given the entire state a lot of economic growth. And those people are just as American as anybody else. And if you put that time in here, and you've been here, and you love the United States just as much as every other red-blooded American, I think you ought to have the opportunity to stay here and live the life that you want.
Senator Cotton also criticized you for supporting the Green New Deal. We're starting to see more Republicans say climate change is real, but the GND is a terrible idea. Do you want Congress to start tackling a climate bill to the level of the GND?
Well, you know, I haven't had the time to go in depth into that, but I will tell you this. I find it laughable that he tries to label me as a proponent. Remember, my background is in the natural resource industry in South Arkansas. And at the same time, a lot of our energy producing companies understand that there are jobs and there are ways to lower costs for consumers by investing in sustainability and renewable energy. Entergy has been putting out, in particular, building solar farms across our state. Walmart has a great sustainability initiative. And the solar energy field, particularly, is the fastest growing job market in the country. The fact that Tom Cotton would want to fight jobs that are going to come and help people, lower prices, and it's not going to hinder the energy industry as it already exists is ridiculous to me. And it's just further proof that he only has the interest of his donors in mind and not the people of Arkansas or the people of this country who struggle to get by every day, that don't have $400 in their bank account for an emergency, or just want to be able to have a good Christmas paid for their families because their consumption of energy prices, the price of a basket of groceries or anything like that is a little bit lower because we have a diverse energy portfolio.
And Senator Cotton has been touting low unemployment numbers, to which you've replied that Arkansans need better paying jobs because many work 2 or 3 at a time. How do you envision a Democratic Congress paving the way for better paying jobs for people in Arkansas and across the country for that matter?
Well, you know, there's a couple ways I'd like to do that. Number one is I want to make sure that people earn wages equal to their hard work. But number two is we want to make sure that people have access to the skills to build the life that they want, that they need, that they deserve in their local communities. Nobody should have to move from Bearville, Arkansas, where they've built a life with their families and that they love to live, to move to Northwest Arkansas or to Little Rock, to out of state, to find a job that's going to take care of them and provide a good quality of life so they can build a good life, care for their kids, and have a little bit of money to save over. So those are my 2 areas I really want to emphasize, is making sure that people have those access to skills where they live, so they have that prosperity at home, and making sure that they earn the wages equal to their hard work.
All right, Josh, we're also starting to see an escalating battle between President Trump and Congress in the wake of the redacted Mueller report release. The administration won't cooperate with subpoenas, and there's a debate among Democrats on whether impeachment is both warranted and worth the fight in the first place. You're now fighting for a Senate seat where impeachment would be prosecuted if referred by the House. Do you think that should happen?
Well, I want to honor the process. You know, I haven't seen the unredacted Mueller report, and I would want to see that before I went anywhere with it. But we're going to honor the process if there is evidence there in the unredacted report, because, you know, there certainly is a lot that we've seen already that does not look favorable. But at the same time, this is a serious topic, and if it's something that we're going to pursue, you better believe that we're going to have to do it right, because we have to do it with integrity and objectivity.
All right, well, Josh, thank you so much for coming back on the show, and we, of course, wish you the best of luck in this race.
Hey, Jessica, thank you so much, and I'll be glad to come back anytime. Thank you again.
And coming up after a quick break, I'll talk to Governor Asa Hutchinson. Now that the 92nd General Assembly is in the books, we'll look ahead to getting medical marijuana up and running and the new anti-sanctuary cities law. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Sonic's real ice cream is made with real milk and cream. Customize it with add-ins like real Oreo pieces or 100% real California strawberries. You could say, we're keeping it real. Taste the real ice cream difference at Sonic today.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, non-stop issue, and they're finally walking into the Good Feet store. Okay, the guy that came into my store last year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. I looked at him, I said, are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been? I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
See for yourself with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Sold it.
Absolute Greers Ferry Lakefront Real Estate Auction at 85 Buckhead Trail on the Tannenbaum Peninsula. With an extraordinary 5,200 square foot luxury home custom built by David Hendricks in 2012 with no expense spared. Also selling 2 covered boat slips, guns, boats, furniture, and much more. Everything is selling regardless of price, live, on site, and online. Thursday, May 30th, starting at 10 a.m. Go to WilsonAuctioneers.com.
Sold it. 10-5, can you believe it?
Yes, it's a touchdown, all right. All over the carpet. It's a stain. It's time for the Boys in Blue. The Boys in Blue can clean your carpet, upholstery, tile and grout, even your hardwoods. You know, you should call the best in the business. Call the Boys in Blue.
The Boys in Blue.
Woo Pig.
Man, these Red Bull slushes are invigorating, right?
I know it, man. I'm feeling confident, feeling pumped. I want to jump this thing.
I don't know if that's such a good idea, TJ.
No, man, I need help. Can we jump this thing?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Rush in for Sonic's new Red Bull slushes, half price during happy hour.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. Big changes are coming to Arkansas following the 92nd General Assembly. The legislature passed all of Governor Asa Hutchinson's top priorities. Joining me in studio to share his thoughts on that and much more is the governor himself. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be with you, Jesse.
So as the school year comes to an end, districts across the state are preparing for these teacher raises over the next 4 years. Of course, one of your 4 priorities this past session. Of the 235 districts, 168 of them will need to increase their minimum salaries this next school year. Now, some SENS have reported that the state looked solely at 4th year funding rather than considered the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd years as well. And then they're also kind of concerned that the increase in foundational funding doesn't make up for some of those costs. So how would you address those concerns?
Well, we did something unusual, which is the first time we've ever done that, and we set aside a specific pot of money, which is $60 million, to help those schools that have to raise the minimum and might have a hard time doing it, the smaller school districts. And so we not only increase the formula amount for our school districts, as we always do, but we again set aside $60 million specifically for meeting that minimum salary requirement. Commissioner Key will be setting the rules for that as to how that would be distributed and how that can be applied for and the criteria for it. But we want to listen and help those school districts that might have challenges there.
Okay, so you think right now they're kind of set up for success, they should have enough money to move forward?
Absolutely. You know, it's always, you look down the road and we've got to have a long-term commitment here, and there will be other pressures whenever you raise the minimum salary for teachers. It has a way of driving up some others. So there are some cost impacts to it. But again, $60 million, again, it's the first time we've ever set aside that kind of money targeted toward those schools that might have challenges in meeting that teacher raise. I think it'll be great for the teachers, and we'll work with districts to implement that.
Okay, and those adequacy talks have already talked to the Capitol, some other talks that are happening right now. Of course, your transition team is hard at work trying to get everything ready after the legislature passed another priority of yours, a plan to reduce the cabinet level agencies who report to you from 42 to 15. So I know that, you know, everybody's looking toward the summer and everything. So how is that process going since you appointed those people last month?
Well, first of all, it's very historic legislation that we transformed state government, 42 agencies down to 15 direct reports to me. And it was hard passing the legislation, but it'll be more challenging to implement it, but it's the right thing to do to increase managerial control and tools for me, but also the better delivery of services and increase some efficiency. So right now, we have the transition team that's in place, that's working every day, getting a transition booklet ready for each cabinet secretary once they're named. I expect those will be named toward the end of May. And so we're doing a lot of thought and preparation for that, and this will come into effect, the transformation law July 1, when we actually create the new 15 cabinet departments.
Okay, and then the future of one of your other priorities, of course, a long-term highway funding plan. A lot of it depends on what voters decide in 2020 to either, you know, extend to make that half-cent sales tax permanent on the books. But other funds also depend on casino revenue. So now that the application window is open for licenses for Pope and Jefferson counties, how confident are you that the state will see 4 casinos in the near future?
Well, the highway bill, and you're right, that a key part of that will be the extension of the existing half-cent sales tax. That'll be on the ballot November of 2020. But we did pass an immediate assistance to our highways by a $96 million commitment that will start this summer and fall when that law goes into effect. And so they'll see some immediate benefit from it, and the counties and cities will also see some benefit from that $96 million part of the plan. But then, in addition, you ask about the casino revenues, and that's a unique part of what we're going to be pouring money into the highways. But it's undetermined as to what will flow every year from the casinos. We sort of have an idea, and we think it will be successful, but we've made a commitment of that $96 million, and so if there's a shortfall in the casino revenues, then it's guaranteed by the state. So that was something that was important to make sure that there was that steady source of funding. There's a commitment of those general revenues that was important to the General Assembly. And so, you know, as you know, we've got some good news with the revenue report that shows that we will be able to meet those commitments, and it gives us a good comfort level that if there's any shortage in casino tax revenues, then we'll be able to meet those commitments to our highways.
And then what are you just thinking with the Racing Commission saying that they could give out those licenses as early as next month? Are you thinking that Pope County, just from where you're sitting right now, who you've been talking to, that could be a possibility that Pope County would get a license already next month?
Well, one of the criteria, of course, in the amendment is that you have to have local sign-off by the county judge or the mayor, and it's my understanding that we don't have that in Pope County. And so I think that will be an ongoing debate in Pope County into the future. I think for the time being, I don't see that as a short-term possibility. And from a statewide perspective, we already have an application for Pine Bluff area, and I think that will be processed normally, and so we'll have Oaklawn, we'll have Southland and West Memphis, and then we'll have Pine Bluff. 3 casinos in operation in a short amount of time. I think we'll have a good learning experience there. We'll be better prepared for whatever might happen in the future in Pope County. But I think we'll be fixed right now in the short term with those 3.
More with Governor Hutchinson when we come back. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Magic always happens with a gift from Keepsakes. You'll shine when you wear Vahan jewelry, American-made with quality and exquisite design. This line is worn by the stars. Shop our versatile Vahan selection today for the best quality and prices at Keepsakes Jewelry.
If you need to sell your house right now, call the number on the screen. We can have a cash offer in your hands within 72 hours. We buy as is, and we'll even pay your closing costs.
Stop stressing, start dialing. Call Upward House Buyers today.
Come and enjoy a new experience in shopping for your home. At Aladdin Rugs and Home Decor, we have over 5,000 rugs in the latest colors and styles. Bring your pillows, your pillow shams, and sizes. We will help you select the perfect rug. We're #1 in customer service with 15,000 square feet of rugs, unique home decor, wallpaper, and flooring. Remember, buy today, take it home today, and save. Why wait?
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Attention home buyers, lake enthusiasts, and investors. Absolute Real Estate Auction, Thursday, May 9th at 11 a.m. in Shirley, Arkansas, with a move-in ready 2,500 square foot custom home on 15.7 acres. With 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and only 1.8 miles from the Fairfield Bay Marina. Panoramic year-round views of Greers Ferry Lake and Sugarloaf Mountain. Selling in 3 tracks in any combination, regardless of price on auction day. Go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Hey, shrimp lovers. Captain D's Ultimate Shrimp Feast is here. It's our new extra crispy shrimp, grilled shrimp, and all kinds of tasty shrimp. Did we mention shrimp? It's shrimply amazing when the captain is gone. Captain D's.
There's only one truck that rises above the rest, and that's a Ford. And the best place to get one? Riser Harness Ford in Searcy. Back roads or open roads, we've got you covered with the biggest selection and the lowest prices. F-Series trucks, SUVs, and the all-new Ranger. Right now, get 0% financing, plus more money for your trade. There's no limit to what a Ford can do. Get yours today at Riser Harness Ford on Race Street in Searcy.
Magic always happens with a gift from Keepsakes. Our stunning line of Philippe Gabriel, the fastest growing designer line in America, is sure to make the perfect gift. Crafted in Italy and made to share with generations to come. Philippe Gabriel is now 20% off at Keepsakes Jewelry.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. We are back with Governor Asa Hutchinson. Fast forward a week or two from now, the state's first dispensary is expected to open more than 2 years after voters legalized medical marijuana. I know that you've been against medical marijuana kind of in general, but you of course support the will of the people. Moving forward, what kind of concerns you the most about the rollout? Is it potentially supply and demand, the law enforcement aspect of it?
Well, both. I mean, obviously you want the cultivation centers that we've dispensaries to have sufficient quantity to meet the medical needs of patients. But my job, and I think the law's responsibility, is to keep us focused that this is not recreational use marijuana. This is medical marijuana, and that is a distinction that the voters made, and I think it's an important distinction that the public needs to keep in mind. And so that's one of the reasons that we have a tight regulatory environment. Took us a while to do this, but we're doing it in the right way. And so we want to make sure it's available to the patients, but we also want to stop the diversion. You see, and whether it's California or Colorado, the black market creeping up, and we want to be able to do all that we can from a law enforcement perspective to make sure the marijuana that is grown goes for medicinal purposes.
And then we already talked about one of the measures that lawmakers did refer out to voters for 2020. They also referred another one that would make it more difficult for Arkansans to qualify proposed initiated acts and constitutional amendments on the ballot. So it can be argued that this is a direct response to prior measures getting on the ballot and then passing that the legislature, many in there weren't very fond of, like casinos, medical marijuana. So I know that no action was required from you on resolutions like that, but would you vote for that in 2020?
Well, whenever that's on the amendment on the ballot, will I vote for that?
To restrict, yeah, kind of the ballot access, really.
There's two parts to this. One, I think it was just a legislative initiative that put a higher threshold for third parties to qualify for the ballot. I think that's fine. I'm supportive of that because we've had an artificial number, I think 10,000 signatures, and we've raised that because our state grows. I think that's reasonable. You know, in terms of the second part of it, that you put more requirements on signature gatherers for initiated ballot initiatives such as casinos or marijuana or some other topic. I want to look at that more closely. I do think that there needed to be more controls, and it does streamline the process so everybody, the public, can know sooner as to what's going to be on the ballot and whether they're going to get a vote on it or not. I want to study a little more closely on some of the other restrictions. Okay, and then you did not end up vetoing a bill to ban sanctuary cities in the state of Arkansas, and the threats of lawsuits now only continue. I know that you gave your, reasons for signing it ultimately, but did signing the measure have anything to do with the fact that the legislature can easily overturn a veto? Well, I would like to have a higher threshold for overturning a veto. People are surprised that you can override my veto by a simple majority vote, which is the requirement for the original passage. Contrast that to the United States Congress and many other states. It requires a 2/3 override. So certainly that causes me to use the veto pen carefully. I want people to respect the governor's office, and I take a veto very seriously. In this case of the sanctuary cities, I'm very pleased that we passed legislation that gave DACA recipients who have a legal status in our country the ability to get nursing licenses and in-state tuition. So those were good news for some of our immigrant population. On the sanctuary cities, I come from a Homeland Security perspective, having served in the Bush administration. I believe that local law enforcement needs to cooperate with federal law enforcement, including ICE officials. And so I supported that, looked at it carefully. There was one cause of concern in the sanctuary city bill, and I asked the sponsors to put in 2 words, which is with probable cause. I guess that's 3 words. And they made a commitment that as soon as we reconvene, they would support adding that probable cause language, and I think that would cure any concerns about the sanctuary city prohibitions. And so I think we'll be fine. I think it's because we don't have any sanctuary cities in Arkansas, so I don't see that being triggered in the near future. But if when we convene again, we hope to provide that corrective language.
You told the Democratic Gazette that the 92nd General Assembly was the GOAT session, the greatest of all time for, people who don't know what the kids are saying these days. But you still have, one more session ahead of you as governor of Arkansas before you term out. What do you see as one of the main issues you'll fight for in 2021, since you were able to check off a lot of major priorities this time around?
Well, let me come back to the GOAT comment first. That was my way of bragging on the General Assembly.
Right.
But it's also a way of challenging historians as to put this in perspective for me.
Sure.
And I do believe it was one of the most historic sessions ever. Not only did we accomplish highway funding and transformation of state government, tax cuts, teacher pay, but look at the juvenile justice reform, the fact that we provided property tax relief for our citizens, increased that. We strengthened the long-term reserve funds as well. We accomplished a 911 reform bill that will better fund our 911 emergency systems and our AWIN system. So extraordinary stuff has happened, and those are just a small part of it. Now, if you look at the future, my focus now is economic development, creating jobs in the state. I've already started thinking about the future and what will be on the agenda, 2 years from now, but that's a ways away, so we'll wait for that. But I'm excited about the next 4 years and the trajectory, the path that Arkansas is on in terms of growth.
Well, Governor Hutchinson, always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Always good to be here.
And we're back to wrap it all up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
It's the Great Outdoor Sale at Family Leisure.
Stay cool. 24-foot pools, only $19.99 installed. Largest selection in the country. Enjoy quality and comfort outdoors. Hundreds of in-stock patio sets. Whatever your style or budget, we've got you covered. Keep your kids active this summer with high-quality play sets from Family Leisure. Relieve aching muscles. 4-person spas, only $19.99. Swim spa starting at $99.99. These great products also on sale now.
The Great Outdoor Sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Ignite something. Ignite excitement. Ignite curiosity, adventure, and small moments of beauty. Only the perfect cut unleashes a diamond's power to ignite hearts on fire.
Come see us at Cecil's Fine Jewelry.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
That does it for today's show. You can see my full unedited interviews with Josh Mahoney and Governor Asa Hutchinson right now online. And don't forget, you can now take Capitol View on the go. Download the Capitol View podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.